All right. Well, hello and welcome to Wednesday. First of all, I would like to welcome Rick Dahl officially to our team.
Thank you.
Hey, Rick. Um, as I emailed, Rick has a ton of experience in the field. He's a noteworthy designer and illustrator, and all sorts of things. I will also say that
I'm trying to figure this out.
you let me know yesterday that he has 10 words to add to our filthy word list that we use in InDesign. So he's pulling his weight on the team already. I'm excited. So expect an update on the dirty words, I guess. This is my job for real, you guys. So welcome, Rick. We're glad to have
Thank you.
Okay. So we've had some changes recently in Roxen. They updated some things. I hope that you guys are finding that template search feature is helping you a lot. I know I've really enjoyed it on all of the pages I've been working with. It makes things easier. Please let your team leader know if you're having issues figuring out how to work that or any of the other new features. We are expecting that we're going to get another update in the next month or so to get us to the Roxen version 8. And that one's going to have even more changes that are going to help us. For example, it's going to have, they're calling it grids, but it essentially allows us to adjust stories in relation to each other. So you can set that, okay, there's these 3 stories on the page and they sort of snap to each other. You can also snap a story so that it's like align it all the way to the top. And then it sets the size of the box itself based on how much content is in the box, instead of you having to do the thing where you like move it up a line and then you move it down a line and then you move it up a line. So just try to make everything easier for you there. A bunch of other stuff is going to be changing with that. I think a lot of changes for the better. We are going to have with that the addition of being able to actually see deadlines within Roxen, which I know is something that a lot of you have been asking for. So I'm very, very excited for that. I will keep you posted as I get more information about when we're going to have that. Please do remember the form that Emily sent out for any issues that you run into with Roxen. We are sending Roxen all the tickets about anything that's going wrong to make sure we get all those things addressed. But you all know my motto about how we can't fix things we don't know are problems. So please make sure that you are filling that out every time you've got an issue. I'll include it in the email with this meeting as well. I did email earlier, excuse me, that we need some help on Saturday shifts for the next month or so. So please look at your calendars and let us know if you can work. Even if you can only work a partial shift, we can piece together from a few different people to cover a shift. That's just until we get Rick up to speed that we need that coverage on Saturday to make sure we're all good. So got that. We did get a request about Slack messages. I think it makes a very good point that, I don't know, maybe should have occurred to me earlier, but just has to do with the number of notifications that we're all getting and that it can get kind of overwhelming. And also that we're getting maybe notifications for things we don't need to be notified for, which makes it harder to really pay attention to when the notification is actually important. So to that end, when you are like checking in or out, or you're going to lunch or you're back from lunch, all of that kind of stuff, you don't need to tag at here. Because if somebody is looking for you, then they can just check in there and see that you're in or that you went to lunch or whatever. So that's just going to eliminate some of those at here tags that are notifying all of you. So you can all have a few fewer notifications. And then it makes it easier to know that when you're getting a notification, that it is for something you should be getting a notification for. Still do tag the at here when you are notifying us that there's pages to proof though. So questions on that? Okay. I had a few questions in the past week or so about letters to the editor and our formatting on that. We've also had a few things from editors about formatting on those. So Joe is essentially working on, like a visual example of this is how letters to the editor are set up. So you all can reference it, and that also so we can just send it to the editors and say, this is how the people named Bill told us that the letters should be set up. So this is how we're setting them up in case there's any questions. So you should have that soon. one last thing that I want to note before I'm going to turn it over to Michael for a minute. For those of you who worked with Nancy Cool, she died Wednesday of last week. Her service is this Friday at Corsmo Funeral Home. If you want to attend that service, it's at 2 p.m. Please let Emily Beeman know today so that we can make sure we get everything covered on Friday during that time. If you want to talk about anything related to Nancy's passing, or I'm available. We also have our employee assistance program that you can call. That information is in ADP. Nancy was a very good copy editor, a very interesting person. I know she hasn't been on our team for a little bit, but I know that a lot of you worked with her, and some of you worked pretty closely. So again, if you want to go to the service, please let Emily Beeman know right away so that we can account for that in scheduling. If you want to talk about it, I'm available. Your team leaders are available. And again, we have that employee assistance program. And then on that note, I'm just going to turn it over to Michael. We've had some changes with how we're dealing with scoreboards between Brightspot and Roxen. So he's just going to kind of tell you where we're at right now as we're working on it, just so we're all on the same page. So go ahead, Michael.
All right. Excuse me. As Alicia said, we're kind of in a transition period. A lot of the stuff was being put in through Google Docs, and we have requested that it be put in through Brightspot. One of the things that's causing issues with us is just setting all the correct styles and figuring out how to get tabs to come over and a couple of those things. So we haven't necessarily halted the switch to Brightspot. We're just kind of pressing pause so that Alicia and I can have things come over in a manner that actually helps us. So we'll be working with that stuff. If an editor does use Google for those sort of things, that's kind of okay at the moment. We want to kind of narrow down our styles for the local boards before we have everybody start pushing their stuff through Brightspot. To that same kind of note, I know that I put together a guide for like the local calendars, and we tried to standardize the local calendar for sports. With that coming through Brightspot now, we kind of have a little bit of a hiccup. So I'll add this to the guide, but if they send it through, like Wilmer, for example, has been sending it through with like subheads and agate, it's okay to run it how they provide it. The only caveat to that is if they just send it through as like body copy, we just don't want to run it as body copy because it'll just take up too much space. So if they send it through with particular styles, let's run it like that. If not, let's stick to the guide that we provided and adjusting things in Roxen until we can get that figured out. And I'll add a note to the top of the guide for the calendars about that sort of stuff. So, yeah, Alicia, I didn't know if there was anything else you wanted me to cover. Just trying to figure all that stuff out at the same time. So,
that sounds good. Yeah, we're just trying to make sure all those tabs and stuff can come over so that you aren't spending like double the time trying to fix that stuff than you would if we just placed it through Google for right now. We will keep you posted as we figure that stuff out. Anybody have any questions, discussion topics, good jokes? Okay. You all know where to find us if you need anything. We're around. Your work is appreciated. I hope you're all having a wonderful March, which, well, I don't know where it is, how it is that where the rest of all of you are, but it's May here in Fargo, so that's nice. I'll take it. All right. Talk to you all later. Have a great day.